Please subscribe the channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Botanica. So in the previous classes we have studied about the ecology. What is ecology? We have defined it. We have discussed about the various branches of the ecology. What is the scope of the ecology? The different levels of organization. What we have discussed from the organisms to the biosphere. And now we are going to discuss about the aims and the objectives of the ecology. So what are the objective or what are the purpose of the ecology to study the ecology? The objective of the ecology is to understand or to know about the dynamics of our surroundings, of our environments. So what are the different factors which are changing our environment, which are responsible to make the environment better, and to take the proper measures and to take the proper actions at the time whenever they are needed and when they are required. So the major objective or the aim of the ecology is to know about our surrounding, to know the actual position of our surrounding, actual position of our environment, that at what level it is, what are the different things which are making it worse for us or making it worse for other living organisms, and to take the actions which are required to change that particular situation into a better situation. However, the main objective of ecology can be summarized into 4 or 5 points. The first of all, we are going to our main objective or our objective in the ecology is the local and the geographical distribution and the abundance of organisms. So whenever we are going to discuss or we are going to study about the distribution of the plants or the animals, so that is the plant geography or animal geography, that what is the distribution of the plants and animals according to the different situation, according to the different environmental factors. So whenever we are studying these animals or plants, so distribution of the plants is based, or distribution of the animals is based upon the climate of that particular area or the environment of that particular area. So that why that distribution occurs, what are the different roles of the environment, and what is the different types of population which are present at the local side, or how they are geographically distributed, and what is the frequency or the abundance of those organisms. And next, the interrelationship, the relationship between the individuals, between the population, at the community level, at the ecosystem level, and at the biosphere level or at the biome level. So whatever the case may be, whatever the level of organization we are studying, so that is the interrelationship, and that is not the interrelationship, but it is also the intra-relationship, with the relationship within the intraspecific level, within the individual, between the individual of the same species, between the individual of the different species. There is also relationship of, for example, different types of plants and animals, as well there is a relationship between the bacteria and the plants as well as the animals. The fungal, there are different types of pathogens, there are also different types of bacteria which are beneficial for the plants, like the bacteria which are present in the roots of the plant which fix the nitrogen. So these are all types of relationships which occur at the community as well as at the population and the ecosystem level. So our objective is also to study these interrelationship between the organisms in the population and the communities. And third is the structural adaptation and the functional adjustment of organisms to the physical environment. So this third objective can be linked to the first objective, that these are the adaptation which enable the plant to live in a particularly geographically different area. So what are the different types of adaptation? For example, there are some plants which are living in the water environment, what are the hydrophytes, what are the different types of adaptation which are found in the hydrophytes, which enable them to live in that water environment, water habitat. And on the other hand, on the other extreme, there are plants which are living in the desert environment where the water is very limited. So in both these extremes, there are certain adaptations which enable these two types of plants to live in the area. So that these are the structural adaptation. We are also concerned in the ecology to check or to know about these adaptations and how these adaptations and functional adjustment enable the organism to live and interact with that physical environment which is surrounding that organism. And next, the behavior of the organism under natural condition. What are the different types of behavior? What are their behavior along with other species? Within the species, what is the different types of behavior which are, and mostly we are concerned in the behavior. We are talking about the animal ecology and the biological productivity of the nature and its relationship with the mankind. As far as the biological productivity is concerned, that is the productivity, we can say that that's the productivity of the ecosystem. What type of productivity, at what level it is producing. For example, oxygen is produced by the plant, it is also a product of the plant. So that is the productivity. Also we are concerned with the productivity of other types of, for example, the nitrogen is fixed by the plants, atmospheric nitrogen is fixed by the plants and it is incorporated into different types of the nitrogenous compound, and then we are using those plant fruits and many other parts, and we are using that nitrogen. So that is the productivity as well. So biological productivity is not only the productivity we see in the form of a yield of the, for example, wheat or any other crops. That is the productivity of the ecosystem as well. In any form that biological productivity may occur, and its relationship, what is the relationship with the mankind. So temporal changes in the occurrence, abundance and activities of the organisms. That is, there are temporal changes which are for small period of time, which are not permanent. These are temporal changes which in the occurrence, that the presence of the organism at particular time, particular area, abundance of the frequency of those organisms and the activities of the organism. So these are the main 6 objectives or the aims of the ecology to which we are related, and the 7th one is the conservation and management of natural resources and pollution. The 7th one is also associated with the conservation or biodiversity and conservation point of view, that how we are going to conserve and preserve the natural resources and using that resources in a wise manner. So as far as the applications are concerned, this applied ecology is a subfield within the ecology which considers the applications of the science of ecology to real world. So in the ecology, simple ecology, as we have not discussed about the branches of the ecology, we have about 16 to 17, 18 branches of the ecology which are based upon their different types of aspects to which we are studying. For example, out of 18 applications, out of 18 branches of the ecology, we have one branch of ecology which is the applied ecology. As the term applied is clear or it is quite understandable, that is the applied part of the ecology, how we are going to apply the ecological consideration into our environment, our daily life, and it is an integrated treatment of the ecological, social and biotechnological aspects of natural resources conservation and management. So that is the integrated treatment that we are going to make ecological as social and biotechnological resources, natural resources, and how we are going to conserve and manage these resources to use it wisely and to conserve them for the near future. It is also called ecological or environmental technology. So these 3 fields of science, ecology, environmental biology, environmental sciences and biodiversity and conservation, so they are somewhat related to one another. There are something which is similar or same in all these 3 science fields. So it mostly focuses on the geomorphology. Geomorphology means the science which is related with the morphology of the soil and the earth and the diversity and the abundance of organisms according to the type of soil present there, and plant communities as the underpinning of for vegetation and wildlife management. So these are the applications what we are going to discuss. The agroecosystem management, so these are simply the terms which we study are the applied ecology. Agroecosystem management, what we are going to manage the agriculture point of view by using the ecological consideration. For example, when we know the actual position of the environment, what is the position of the environment, what is the different type concentration of different gases, what the type of soil, as well as the many other environmental factors like the light, water in the soil. So these are all ecological considerations. When we know all these ecological considerations, so then we will be able to manage our agriculture field more precisely, more accurately. So that is the agro-ecosystem management. Conservation of the life or the diversity of, for example, those plants or those animals which are extinct or which are near to extinct or which are vulnerable to extinction. So they are also served along with the resources. The biotechnological part of the ecology, the conservation biology, that these two are biodiversity conservation and conservation biology. They are mostly the same things. Ecosystem restoration, because there are some cases, for example, the Copper Hill Basin, which we are going to discuss, that the ecosystem is sometimes destroyed by the mankind or the anthropological factors that we are or the humans are going to disturb or to destroy that ecosystem to make new urban areas, to make new colonies, the factories, the industry, and by making those we are destroying that ecosystem. So applied ecology is also concerned with the restoration of those ecosystems, the management of the habitat, the invasive species management, because these are the species which are not required by us and which they don't have any beneficial aspect for us. So those species which are not purposefully we have sown them, we have a beneficial aspect for them. So those are invasive species, and ecology is concerned with those invasive species. Protected areas management, because we have a biological diversity or biodiversity hotspot where there is a type of species which are restricted to that particular area. So when that species is restricted to that area, so there is a need to protect that ecosystem or protect their habitat. So ecology is also concerned to protect those areas. Rangeland management, for example, there is a grassland or any other type of land. So ecology is also concerned with the rangeland management along with the restoration ecology. So there we have discussed the ecosystem management or ecosystem restoration. So there was in the history, after the discovery of copper in the America or the Copper Hill in the 1843, the copper ore, the rush was on. There was a race to extract the copper from the ore and to separate them and to use them for various purposes. So more than 30 mining operations in the Copper Hill Basin would spring over the next few years. So when the copper was discovered in the 1843 in the Copper Hill Basin, so there was a race to isolate or to separate or to discover that copper from and to isolate from the ore, to isolate from the rocks. So there were 30 mining operations which were started on the Copper Hill Basin. So the mining companies used smelting to separate the copper from the rocks and cut timber to fuel the smelter. So these are the smelting process which is used to separate the copper from other rocks and also to cut the timber to fuel. So for this smelting process they cut the fuel. For the fuel process they cut the timber or the forest, they have destroyed the forest, they have used the wood for the fuel purpose. So by using the timber for the fuel purposes resulted in the loss of a forest, loss of a biodiversity, loss of a ecosystem, and resulting sulfuric acid, which was the sulfuric acid is the resulting or the byproduct in the process of ore production, in the process of copper production, and deforestation, which was because of the loss of timber, devastated the environment. So by using all these or by these practices, all the ecosystem was destroyed and the Copper Basin became a barren man-made desert. And before 1843 it was a full-fledged, flourished forest, but because of using a timber as a fuel and because of this sulfuric acid, which was the byproduct, because it is a very concentrated acid and very strong acid, so it destroyed all that conservation biology or that biodiversity which was present there, and it resulted in a man-made desert of red clay that covered thousands of acres. So this is the actual picture of the Copper Hill Basin. So because of the copper, isolation of the copper and those practices, using the timber as a fuel, it resulted in a red desert which we call the Copper Hill Basin. But however, the mining companies started collecting the sulfuric acid and restoration efforts began, and by using the various ecologists were there, and they have used to restore that particular area. So there thousands of new trees were planted and the water quality standards were put into place. So there the restoration process was begun, and these efforts have paid off, and the Copper Basin is once again a thriving forest that is home to diverse vegetation. So that is the applied part of the ecology, that whenever there is a threat to the diversity, whenever there is a threat to the forest or any ecosystem, so applied part of the ecology. So there is a various type of various ecologists, so they tried their best to restore that ecosystem, and now they are successful to restore it as a forest ecosystem.